Mickey 17 is the long-awaited sci-fi comedy satire starring Robert Pattinson and directed by Bong Joon-ho, the mastermind behind Parasite, one of the best movies of the decade. Parasite became a sensation, not just for being a truly great film, but for the rare feat of an international movie winning Best Picture. It put a new spotlight on director Bong, even though he was already highly respected with a great filmography. At the time, I'd seen Snowpiercer, but I don't think I fully grasped who he was. So naturally, Mickey 17 was highly anticipated. Not just for Bong Joon-ho, but also for Pattinson, who's spent the last decade picking really interesting roles. Plus, in the trailers, he's doing this really weird voice that sounded nothing like him. So I think everyone else was thinking, what would the director of Parasite be able to do with someone like Robert Pattinson? On top of that, the movie was supposed to come out last year, but got pushed back a bunch of times. So the anticipation just kept building and building. But here's the thing. When a movie's release keeps getting pushed back, it's never a good sign. Over the years, I've also learned that early year releases are where movie studios tend to dump movies that they don't think are going to be big awards contenders. So if they believed in Mickey 17, why push it to the least prestigious time in the movie calendar? Well, unfortunately, the answer is kind of simple. It's because Mickey 17 is just okay. Now, the movie starts off strong, quickly and efficiently building out its world. Pattinson narrates the early scenes, and while narration gets a bad rap, when done right, like here, it's one of the most engaging ways to tell a story. Through Mickey's voiceover, we learn about a cloning technology used in space exploration. Every time a person dies, they're reprinted as an exact copy, complete with all their previous memories. It's a fantastic premise, and as long as the movie is about this idea, it's really compelling. It raises great questions. How does this technology affect human identity? What does it mean for the soul? How is it or can it be used to exploit workers? This is quintessential sci-fi, exploring what technology does to us. Unfortunately, around the halfway mark, the movie shifts away from its strongest ideas. It abandons its fascinating premise in favor of much more basic messaging, essentially that fascism and colonialism are bad. Now, obviously those are important themes, but they don't automatically make for an interesting story. And this isn't unique to Mickey 17. A lot of movies do this. They start with a great high concept idea, and then they sideline it for something far less interesting. Downsizing did this by pivoting to a love story and somehow an occupational therapy subplot. Yesterday, which isn't quite sci-fi, but is still high concept, that's the movie about what if the Beatles never existed. They ditched their core idea for a really bland love story. Now, I get that this criticism could boil down to the movie just not being what I wanted it to be, but I don't think that's the case here. The problem is that Mickey 17 trades in a better story for a worse one. You could absolutely make a fantastic movie about fascism or colonialism, but those ideas don't guarantee great storytelling. The best stories have interesting characters, and Mickey 17 doesn't have them. To serve the movie's social critiques, the good characters say all the right things, and the bad characters say all the wrong things. There's no complexity, there's no nuance, and thus, there's really nothing to think about. I've seen a few of Bong Joon-ho's movies, but I'm not an expert on his entire filmography, so I'm going to lean heavily on Parasite to make this comparison. It features far more interesting characters and has the bravery to trust its audience. The protagonists are flawed, and its antagonists aren't cartoonishly evil. That complexity makes its social critique far more powerful and its story much more memorable. Now, Mickey 17 isn't a total disaster. Director Bong is way too talented for that, so this movie obviously has some standout qualities. The special effects and production design are impressive. The spaceship feels lived in and grimy, which is normally not my favorite aesthetic, but it really works here. The alien species, called creepers, are well designed with clearly a lot of thought put into their biology and movement. They're also animated really well. This movie does not look cheap. And the cinematography is another highlight, especially the wide shots of the creepers and a particularly great sequence in the ship's incinerator room. Definitely my favorite of the movie. The way the camera frames Pattinson in certain moments creates a really strong atmosphere. Speaking of Pattinson, a lot of people are raving about his performance, and while he's good, I'm not one to heap praise on a performance unless I really connect with the character because of it. And honestly, I didn't find Mickey very compelling. He's just kind of weird and awkward, and yeah, there's a lot of comedy that stems from that, but instead of rooting for him, I mostly just pitied him. And while I laughed a handful of times, my theater wasn't really connecting with the comedy, and even I usually only chuckled. I gave this movie 2 stars on Letterboxd. Now, even though I wasn't a fan, I'd still recommend Mickey 17. Plenty of people are enjoying it, so maybe you will too. Plus, high concept movies with great production like this don't come around too often. So even when they fall short, they're still worth checking out. I don't really watch too many Netflix original movies, so maybe this comparison is going to be way off, but this honestly felt like a Netflix movie to me, just with better production and better actors. So if you like those, you might love this. So give it a shot. And if you've already seen it, let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks for watching. See you next time.